Pentru prima dată în istoria înregistrărilor, temperatura globală a depășit cu mai mult de 2 grade Celsius nivelul din epoca preindustrială, timp de 2 zile. Și tot pentru prima dată, de la începutul anului până la sfârșitul lunii noiembrie, toate zilele au depășit cu 1 grad Celsius nivelul preindustrial, iar 43% din numărul de zile au depășit nivelul de 1,5 grade Celsius, în comparație cu 21% din zile pentru întregul an 2016, cel mai cald an anterior.
Within this year, we've had 6 months of record-breaking months, including 2 seasons of record-breaking seasons. So boreal or northern hemisphere summer and northern hemisphere autumn. And this means we can now say with complete certainty that 2023 is the warmest year on record.
This is just a consequence of the El Niño event.
No, the El Niño event is contributing to it, but by far and away the largest contribution to the warming in 2023 is the greenhouse gas concentrations in the atmosphere.
Noiembrie 2023 a fost cea mai caldă lună noiembrie din istoria înregistrărilor. A depășit cu 1,75 grade Celsius media pentru noiembrie din perioada preindustrială 1850-1900. A fost depășită și media din perioada de referință 1991-2020, cu 0,85 grade Celsius la nivel global și cu 0,48 de grade la nivelul continentului european.
2023 from January to November is currently running at 1.46 degrees above that pre-industrial period. And we know from all of the scientific evidence, from not only our reporting, but global reports such as the IPCC report, that the warmer our planet is, the more intense and more frequent extreme events will be. And we've seen a huge number of devastating extreme events over 2023, including fires, floods, heat waves and devastating droughts. And we know these type of events will continue as long as our planetary temperatures keep warming.
If we reduce burning fossil fuels, could be sufficient?
So is the rate of change that's important, but ultimately the sooner we get those greenhouse gas emissions down, the sooner our climate will stabilize and the sooner we'll be able to adapt to our new climate normal.
The effect, we will see it in a year or two or a decade maybe?
It's more on the scale of decades rather than years. It really remains to be seen whether the extra heat that we've seen this year has edged us over some of those tipping points. And I'm sure we'll see much more scientific evidence coming out from the community in the coming weeks and months.
Some changes are irreversible.
Some changes will take centuries or millennia to recover from, and ice sheets and the cryosphere, so the icy parts of our planet, are one of those. The acidification in the ocean is another one of those. But the sooner we cap the greenhouse gas concentrations in the atmosphere, the sooner we'll get the system stabilizing, and then scientists will be able to have a much clearer picture of the new world that we'll be working with.
The first day on record with 2 degrees Celsius above the pre-industrial level. What does this show?
Well, it shows, even if it's anecdotal to some extent, that a few days have been in excess of 2 degrees compared to pre-industrial times for this time of the year. Unfortunately, it sits in a trend that we've observed since the months of June and July. With this increase in temperature, we see also increase in a number of extreme weather phenomena. What we see is a continuous increase in CO2 concentrations, 424 ppm this year, 3-4 ppm more than last year. And in terms of methane, the other very important greenhouse gas, we see that just like 2022, we are on a fairly high increase of about probably 10-12 parts per million. But what is more important is that almost each and every single year since the 2000 is among the hottest year on record. In spite of efforts at the international level to curb the emissions of CO2 and methane, it's not very effective, to be frank, up to now. The solution to reduce these emissions are complex. What needs to be done is easy. How to do it is very complicated. It would be extremely difficult from one year to the next to have drastic changes. What we are talking about is an energy transition. So, and I think it's extremely useful to have year after year this COP where the countries discuss. What we do in Copernicus is to bring year after year our data so that the discussion is based on the latest information that we get from satellites, from models, from other ground-based observations. So there is absolutely no doubt now that the things that are happening, and thus the discussion between the countries can be on the basis of evidence, which is, I think, the best possible case.
The ozone layer. What is the trend about the Antarctic ozone hole?
So in late September, we've observed the 6th largest ozone hole on record, which was due to pretty low temperature in the stratosphere, and maybe also to the fact that the stratosphere has still lots of water vapor that has been injected by the Unga Tunga volcano that erupted in January 2022, which we think is a factor in this fairly high ozone hole. We think also that the climate change is a factor in the fact that we still see some fairly big ozone hole episode. The reason is that climate change is characterized by slightly higher temperature near the surface, so this +2 degrees that we've experienced recently. The other side of climate change is that the stratosphere has become slightly colder than it was in the pre-industrial time and favors the development of big ozone holes. Let's hope that the countries will come to a more deliberate action to combat climate change.